Welcome to the Huron Valley Now Podcast, where we tell inspiring stories of business, life, and giving back. Today, we're here with Nurse Jess from Micah Healing right in downtown Highland. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
I'm glad you were able to make it. Let's see. So we want to get started. You run Micah Healing in downtown Highland, and you've got a lot going on there. Can you tell us a little bit about what makes you different from maybe your normal med spa or clinic?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I think sets us apart is that we are really down-to-earth people. We're just normal moms, dads, neighbors, and we try really hard to just be more salt-of-the-earth type people at our facility. So we do offer aesthetics and wellness, and we focus more on things from a functional medicine or holistic standpoint. So essentially, if we can provide a vitamin or a supplement or maybe even some diet changes or nutrition, we can really try and help drive wellness. But then we also offer the fun side of things with the aesthetics and try to help people age with grace and be pretty conservative in that realm too.
I love that, and it's so important having good people taking care of you. So I love that aspect. And it's got me curious. You offer so many things there. Mm-hmm. What made you want to offer such a wide variety?
Well, we kind of say we're not like Walmart. We can't be everything to everyone, but we want to be really good at the things that we can offer. And so our slogan is wrinkles, weight loss, and well-being. And we focus most of our services around those three pillars. And we look at the wrinkle side of things, the cosmetic injectables, the regenerative medicine, biostimulators, things of that nature. And then the weight loss, we really do a lot with clinical weight management and focusing on safe and healthy practices while modifying positive lifestyle behaviors. And then that well-being side of things, the mental health, the peptides, we do ketamine infusions, just trying to reach some of the areas that we felt aren't really being reached in this area.
That's super cool. And you mentioned a few things there that maybe turn some people off. Mm-hmm. And the injectables. And so can you maybe answer some big misconceptions or myths that you hear around?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it really is, until you start learning or doing research, you may have some perceptions or stereotypes around specifically the aesthetic industry. Let's face it, it is kind of the wild, wild west. A lot of things can be done in that area. And so what I find most is that the misconception about you have to look plastic or it alters who you are, how you actually look. We see the Kardashians on TV, or we see Hollywood kind of paint this picture of what aesthetic medicine is, when in reality, especially in the Midwest, we're just trying to preserve our youth by simply replacing volume or relaxing some of those wrinkles. It's not really to try and alter our appearance per se, but just enhance what God essentially gave to us.
Okay, just maintaining our life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on that point, you mentioned celebrities and influencers, and some people maybe think that these treatments are only for them. Mm-hmm. And what do you have to say about that?
Actually, we have focused so strongly on making things affordable for that the everyday soccer mom like myself can focus a little bit on self-care and not break the budget. So we offer things like monthly memberships that are able to bank that money so that every 3 to 4 months when you do need an aesthetic treatment, you have that set aside, and so it's not this large amount that you have to kind of come up with quickly, or you feel guilty about spending. Aesthetics and cosmetic injectables, they do not need to be overdone. We are a very conservative facility where less is more. So you're not going to come to us and we're going to recommend that you need multiple syringes of filler or an overuse of neurotoxin to try and help muscle or the wrinkles relax. We really want this to be about what's best for the patient, and that includes respecting their health and their wealth. So we don't want to focus so heavily on overdoing or over suggesting. We can do a little bit at a time to try and help support that self-care.
I love hearing how much of an individual approach you take with all of this.
Yes, that's a must. There's no one size fits all, and we actually have that promoted on our website. Each person is an individual that's unique.
Love it. And so when people are seeing your content, sometimes they think just the beauty side, but you do a lot to help with wellness, fatigue, maybe anxiety. Can you tell me a little bit about how you can help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So probably around 75% of our business is actually on the wellness side of things. And so while we may see a lot of the aesthetic industry, the wellness side is where we see the most of our patients. So we offer IV vitamin therapy and really just trying to replenish some vitamins and micronutrients within the body. We're able to help bring back homeostasis. We have over 70 different protocols that we can tailor to fit individual symptomology or areas where somebody may be struggling and they don't want to go the traditional Western like allopathic medicine route, where we can try to support their care through essentially optimizing their vitamins and replacing some of those minerals. So that's one way that we can help. The other way is really talking about peptide therapy. There is a vast amount of peptides that we have available to our patients, whether it's through performance where they're trying to work on muscle gains or mental health or their weight, their skin, hair, and nails. There's essentially a multitude of peptides that we can help support those individual needs.
It's really interesting to hear because, again, you think peptides, those are for Joe Rogan or somebody else.
Right.
That's for somebody who can afford it, but maybe it is something that's manageable if I need it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, again, baby steps. We don't want to throw the kitchen sink at everyone, although we do have an IV called the kitchen sink. So we want to make sure that we are, again, offering supportive services that if we throw too many variables at a patient at one time, we don't necessarily know what corrected or helps the most. So if we can just kind of plan things out little by little and get those small wins, then we're able to know what's actually working for the patient.
That's awesome. And just thinking about the IV nutrients, I mean, I don't know about the listeners, but I struggle to get all the nutrients that I want in just my food.
Absolutely.
It's difficult. I'm busy. I got everything going on. It's hard to eat enough and good enough food.
Right. We also know that our food industry is always not so favorable to us, and we have a lot of processed foods where unless we're able to grow and sustain our own farmland, like I know so many of us want to do, but in today's 2025, it's very hard, like you mentioned, to get in those proper nutrients.
And you're doing a lot of weight loss and those peptides. What's been the response in the community to that?
Oh, overwhelming. We have been so supported. Unfortunately, there's not a big space in this field in our area. When you go into larger cities, you see more access to care. And we want to make sure that we are that access to care for people out in our community. We live here in Highland, and so we wanted to grow our business here in Highland as well. And it's been an overwhelming response. We are seeing so many patients that have fallen into that insurance gap where their insurance is dictating their medical care and they're being denied access to medications based on arbitrary numbers. We have providers who maybe are not forward thinkers and they are dismissive of those patients' concerns, particularly with females. We're seeing this in the perimenopause space. They're just not being listened to, and that lack of empathy and compassion isn't being what's driving the care. And so we're seeing too much, where patients are being turned away from the care that they would really benefit from simply because of access, affordability, or bias.
And those people who are being overlooked and unseen, can you maybe give them 3 tips that can help them out today?
Yeah, absolutely. 1, continue to advocate for yourself. Always be your strongest advocate. Don't take no for an answer. Keep prying, keep digging, keep asking questions. Number 2, come see us for a free consultation. We offer them virtually so we can service the entire state of Michigan, not just our community members here in Highland. But then I would also, going one step further, let's get some basic blood work done. Let's understand what's going on metabolically, that we can maybe take a look at your symptoms as well as those numbers and build out a care plan for you. But don't give up on yourself and don't allow someone to just be dismissive of your concerns.
And if someone's curious but unsure where to start, what's a good way for them to maybe dip their toe into your services?
The first thing is check out our website, check out our social media. We have a couple of different social media channels so that you can kind of get to know who we are, who our personalities are. We're very down to earth people, and visiting micahhealing.com is the first way to get yourself introduced to us. The second way is just meet with me. Get to know us, let us get to know you by scheduling that free virtual consultation. Or coming in and we can talk very confidentiality wise and in being respectful of your privacy. And I think that's really key to building trust.
Oh, yeah. And you mentioned that you live right here in Highland.
I do.
How special is that to get to serve your community?
From having to travel over an hour away to work each day to now having a 4-minute commute to knowing that if my boys needed me, they're at school just down the road, that safety and security is just paramount as a mom. But to know so many other moms and neighbors and dads in our community that are supporting our small business, it's just building that connectivity to our town and establishing those bonds that it's really, really beautiful to see.
I love that. It is beautiful. And we're coming up on a close here, so I'm wondering, is there maybe a mantra or a special message that you want to leave the listeners with?
Oh goodness, that's probably the hardest question that you've asked me today. I think the biggest thing that I'd like to share our listeners with is take time to invest in yourself. We put so many things before our health, and it's so easy to be dismissive of self-care, and it's not selfish. That is one big misconception, that when we take a moment, an hour for an IV, a 30-minute consultation, 4 times a year to come in and have a tox treatment, those things are so crucial to how we feel and how we carry ourselves. And that goes back to our mental health. And so take time to love on yourself and to be gracious to yourself.
I wholeheartedly second that.
Yes.
You are worth it.
Absolutely.
That's it for this episode of Huron Valley Now. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment in the comments, and we'll see you next time.
This episode was sponsored by the Chiro Tribe Chiropractic.
When you're ready to embrace a healthier perspective tailored to your needs, discover a world of wellness with the Chiro Tribe.
Everybody say, bring that bone alone. Come on, bring that bone alone.
At the Chiro Tribe, we specialize in easing daily pains and discomforts at our House of Wellness, where we focus on what truly works for you.
Everybody say, bring that bone, hey, bring that bone alone. Everybody say, bring that bone alone. Yeah.
Experience the difference at Chiro Tribe Chiropractic and Wellness in Highland. Call or text at 248-800-6214